In a dark alley, a man is running terrified until a young girl lands in front of him silently. She activates a strange tattoo on her hand and fires a single shot, knocking the man out cold before walking away. On another side of town, a high schooler, Akatsuka Justice, also called Seigi, fights off two thugs with skilled martial arts. He turns to the old man who they tried to rob to ask if he is okay. The strange old man thanks him for helping him, then pulls out a strange stone from his bag. He tells Seigi that this stone will lead him to the truth of this world and places it in Seigi's hand. The stone suddenly sparks and painfully dissolves into Seigi's palm, leaving a strange tattoo. The mysterious man then walks away, leaving Seigi staring at his hand, saying to himself that this was the start of it all. The next day, Seigi is running to catch up with his best friend Tuko on their way to school. Suddenly, the strange girl from earlier steps in his path. Seigi is unable to stop and the girl ends up attacking him and knocking him down out of reflex. She hurries over to apologize to Seigi and tries to help him up, but suddenly there is a spark from their palms. She pulls away in shock, with a terrified look on her face, and hurries away. Toko then calls out to him and they head to school. In class, the teacher talks about the kingdom of Selenistan, which has grown to become an economic power rivaling the USA, and how the two countries are on the verge of war. At break, Seigi's friends see him fidgeting with a strange mark on his hand. He tells them that it won't come of. He tells them the story of how he helped a strange man and that was his reward. Another of his friends starts telling Seigi that there is a rumor online that the USA is developing a secret weapon against the kingdom called a ceiling combat device. He grabs Seigi's hand and tells him that the weapon looks very similar to the mark on his hand. Tuko interrupts and calls the idea dumb. She tells Seigi to come with her shopping after school. Seigi cannot be bothered, telling her that he is training at his dojo, but she insists that he come with her. Seigi's friends agree that she is definitely his wife and she yells at them to shut up. Seigi then wonders what the tattoo really is. Later, Tuko and Seigi go shopping as she is planning to cook him dinner. As Seigi steps outside to contact his grandpa, the same girl from before shows up. She suddenly snatches his phone and runs off. Seigi chases her, yelling at her to stop. She runs into a dark abandoned warehouse and disappears. Seigi runs in, and sees her above him. She reads from his phone, mocking his name. He tells her that his father picked his name and to return his phone. The girl jumps down from the top floor and coldly asks him where he got his tattoo before attacking him. Seigi is able to defend against her fast blows. She corners him, but Seigi expertly defends the incoming blow. He uses a powerful throw on her, but she uses her cell phone mid-air to knock Seigi in the head, causing him to release her. She tells him that he is not too bad before landing a powerful kick to his head, twisting him like noodles. The girl then strikes Seigi with powerful blows before going for the kill with a blade. The blade barely misses his head and the strange girl begins to smirk at him, apologizing for not being able to control herself. She is impressed that he was able to hold out that long without using the power of his tattoo. Seigi is confused as he has no idea what she is saying. She then realizes that Seigi really knows nothing about the tattoo on his hand. The girl then reveals her own tattoo and explains that the tattoo is a scientific weapon that can be activated by means of a trigger, and persons who use tattoos are known as sealed. She then removes a piece of chalk from her pouch, and uses it to activate her tattoo. She explains that her power is creating a bomb made of air and displays its immense power. Later, Seigi is training with his stern grandpa, who scolds him for losing against the girl. He tells him he needs to get stronger and not like his father, who was not strong enough to protect others. His grandpa throws him to the ground, telling him that justice without strength is no justice at all. Seigi then flashes back to his father and tears come to his eyes. The next day Seigi is in class while across the street, the girl is keeping an eye on him. She sits with her associate Tom, who warns that she may have given him too much information, calling her Izzy. He explains that their mission is to recover all tattoo outside of the USA and Seigi should be apprehended. Izzy then reveals that she has bugged Seigi and tells Tom to leave him to her. For the next 3 days, Izzy keeps a close eye on Seigi but is not very inconspicuous. On his way home with Toko, Toko gets frustrated with the stalker girl, but Seigi explains that he knows her. Toko warns him about strange girls before walking away gloomily. Seigi then confronts Izzy, who acts surprised at seeing him. He scolds her for being bad at tailing. She commends him for not telling anyone about the tattoo. Seigi tells her that he hates losing to anyone and tells her that he tried using chalk to activate his tattoo like her. Izzy explains that her trigger is chalk, but it is different for each sealed person. A man comes running down the alley charging at them. Seigi takes him down and knocks him out. Izzy commends him before seeing that Tom was chasing the target, who turns out to be a sealed. Seigi is then knocked back with a powerful blow and the man activates his tattoo, his body and eyes glowing red. Izzy tells Tom to take Seigi and run, but Seigi stands up defiant. Izzy warns him that the man has superhuman strength from his seal, but Seigi charges in. Tom then explains that the man is a member of the mafia and known for his incredible strength, which is now enhanced by his seal. Seigi dodges the powerful blows trying to find an opening. Izzy then explains that the man has not fully activated his seal, so Seigi may have a chance to beat him. Seigi understands and begins to see openings in the man's attack. He avoids the blows and goes in for a punch, but to no effect. The man slams Seigi into the ground and goes in for the finishing blow while Izzy and Tom try to get to him in time. Seigi then sees his death coming. He flashes back to his father telling him to reach out for whatever he wants. Seigi raises his hand. His blood then begins to activate his tattoo and a large black sphere appears, throwing the man back. Izzy looks back to see his entire chest stripped to the muscle. Tom asks Izzy if that's what he thinks it is and Izzy replies, "That's the Voidmaker, the triggerless tattoo." They look on in shock as Seigi lays unconscious. Seigi then has a dream of a strange creature before waking up to Tom and Izzy in his room searching around. Tom tells him that his tattoo saved his life. Lizzie suddenly asks Seigi to join them on their mission. She explains that she is with the US Army and that their mission is to retrieve tattoos stolen from the country by a researcher. Tom then tells him that the tattoo has taken root in his body and if he refuses to assist then they will need to take his arm. Seigi is shocked, but Tom goes on to explain that Seigi's tattoo is too powerful, creating a nothingness that swallows space and if not used correctly could result in Seigi's death. Lizzie tells him that they will train him to use it or he will die. Seigi is upset. He grabs Lizzie and argues that this is their fault and now they are asking him to join them. Lizzie throws him to the ground, reminding him that he asked her for power. She tells him that nothing comes without compensation, telling him that she is stuck in a child's body as her consequence for having the tattoo. That night in the street, two mysterious figures, a young girl and a man, pass each other in silence. The next day at school, Seigi is shocked to see Izzy in class, introducing herself as Bluesy Fruzy, a transfer student from the USA. She then calls out to Seigi and his friends are jealous. Later, everyone gathers around Izzy, asking her how she knows Seigi. Izzy then wraps her hands around Seigi, telling them that they have a special relationship while slipping a note in his pocket. Seigi's friends march him out to throw him outside while Tuko is angry, telling Izzy to watch her words. Izzy mocks Tuko that she may be jealous and begins to trouble her massive balloons while the boys look on shocked. Seigi then takes Izzy to the roof and demands to know why she is there. Izzy explains that she is keeping an eye on Seigi and wants to know his response to joining them. Seigi asks her about her child's body and Tom comes out telling him that she is older than she looks, but Izzy stops him from revealing her age. They then reveal that the tattoos are ancient relics and joining them would be beneficial for Seigi. Seigi then recalls his grandfather's words about power and justice. Izzy further adds that they are trying to prevent a war between the USA and the kingdom whose knowledge of tattoos far exceed their own. Seigi agrees to join them but on the condition that he will stop them if he finds out they are doing anything wrong. Tom then officially welcomes Seigi to Team Blue Moon. Before leaving, Izzy tells him to meet her at the location on the paper in his pocket, and reveals that his trigger is blood. As they leave, Izzy says he is so naive, with Tom adding that hiding the truth was best for now. Tom wants to report back to headquarters but Izzy tells him they won't, and explains that Seigi would just be used as a lab rat in the US and they cannot hand him over to the kingdom. She wants to get him used to his tattoo and then he can help with the real mission. We are then taken to the kingdom of Selenistan where a civil war has broken out. A large black panther holds a helpless man in his mouth. A young girl walks with her captain named Ajita, who explains that they have taken out all the king's bodyguards and taken control of the country. This young girl is the daughter of the king of Selenistan, Princess Aryabhata. The man in the panther's mouth is her father and she orders the beast to devour him. She tells Ajita to proceed with the next step of the plan. She then monologues about her quest to control everything around her. The next day, Seigi leaves his house to follow the directions on the note given to him and Tuko sees him, thinking it's suspicious. Seigi makes his way to an apartment and nervously rings the bell. Tom comes to the door and tells him to come in. Outside, Tuko has followed him to the address. As she is about to leave, she encounters the strange girl from earlier. The girl then grabs her by the head with her tattoo activated. Inside, Seigi gets a call from Izzy who is on her way home and asks Seigi to wait for her. The home phone then begins to ring and Tom asks Seigi to bring up some boxes from the basement. Tom learns about the coup in Selenistan and that Aryabhata is now in control. Downstairs, Seigi sees a large space beneath the house. Tom hears the front door bell ringing incessantly. Annoyed, he heads over but the door blows open and he is stabbed. In front him Tuko says, "You're not him," before seeing Seigi. It turns out that Izzy is at school. She is installing a device to detect any sealed persons but it immediately starts going off. She turns to see a snake tattoo glowing in the dark before barely dodging an attack. Izzy asks if he is an envoy from the kingdom as the king would not allow this to happen. The man reveals that the king is dead and Aryabhata is now in control. The man steps out into the light holding a whip and introducing himself as Braham, nicknamed the Behemoth Viper and a total sadist. He explains that his decree is to retrieve the triggerless tattoo. He then unleashes a barrage of whip strikes which Izzy dodges skillfully, leaving her clothes ripped. At her home, Seigi comes up with the box and is shocked to see Toki standing in front of him, whispering that she needs to take the triggerless back to the kingdom. Tuko then wakes up in a strange world. She begins seeing the history of the strange girl she bumped into. The girl was just a poor beggar on the streets of Selenistan when she bumped into Aryabhata walking with her captain. The princess noticed that the girl was hungry and offered her a sandwich she was holding in her hand. She then sadistically told the girl to lick her boots for the sandwich. The little girl then attacked the princess with an umbrella but was too slow. The princess then pulled her close and kissed her, telling her that she liked a person who would do whatever they needed to survive. The girl then introduced herself as Ultutmish. Back at the apartment, Tom warns Seigi to run away, telling him that the girl in front of him is an assassin. Seigi is confused as he only sees Tuko. He demands an answer from Tuko. Tom then tells him that the box he carried up is filled with blood packets and he should activate his tattoo with it, but warns him to avoid using Voidmaker. At the school, Izzy moves forward towards Braham, avoiding the whip strikes then jumping to the floor below. Braham, impressed, uses his whip to destroy the floor. Izzy however has found chalk and activates her tattoo. She then throws a rock behind him that explodes, allowing her to escape. Braham then promises that the next time they meet he will kill her. At the apartment, Seigi is attacked and tries to use his blood to activate his tattoo but it is too little. He realizes that Tom's blood is still on the umbrella so he grabs it. With his tattoo activated, Seigi realizes that he can see Tuko's moves clearly. He is unable to control the surge of power and crashes. Tuko then uses the umbrella to stab him in the arm. Inside Tuko's mind, Tuko yells at Ultutmish to stop but she tells her to stay out of it. Tuko yells at her to get out of her body which causes her body to freeze up. Seigi sees his chance and knocks Tuko down. Tom, who had used his cigarettes to activate his tattoo, grabs Tuko by the head and pulls Ultutmish out. Ultutmish then pulls out two swords and attacks Tom who is barely saved by Seigi who takes the sword through the palm. Pissed off, Seigi activates his tattoo. Tom warns him not to use Voidmaker but Seigi wants revenge for hurting Tuko. Ultutmish attacks but Tuko pulls Seigi back telling him to stop. The large void then consumes the house. Ultutmish lands on a house nearby. She gets a call from a man telling her to retreat as someone stronger than her is on the way. She wants to kill him now but the man threatens to tell Aryabhata causing her to retreat. Later, Tuko demands to know everything about what is happening. She thanks Seigi for fighting for her and reveals a tattoo on her forehead. Seigi and Izzy are sparring. Izzy takes him down, telling him to stop trying to only use throws. Tom offers to hide the tattoo on Tuko's forehead with a sticker. He asks if it can be removed but he tells her it is permanent unlike his, being able to peel it off. Seigi is surprised and Tom explains that his tattoo is a weaker version of the originals and is used as a canceller against supernatural phenomenon. He and Izzy are puzzled by the tattoo on Tuko's forehead as they have never seen one like it before but noting that it matches Ultutmish's seal. Izzy then shows Seigi images of a failed test subject when the government tried to find a match for the Voidmaker tattoo. She tells him that the Voidmaker does not distinguish between ally or foe, warning him that it is very dangerous. She makes him promise not to use it without her permission. Izzy tells Seigi that he needs to train more as the tattoo only enhances what is already there and Seigi is excited to get stronger. Tom then hands him a device that is used to detect when a tattoo is activated nearby. It will send a notification to Izzy and Tom. Seigi and Tuko then head out for a run. Izzy and Tom then talk about the current situation with Aryabhata and wondering how they got information about Seigi so fast. Worried, Tom wants to take him back to the USA for safekeeping but Izzy is confused and asks for some time to think. Seigi and Tuko are out running and he explains to her that they are now involved with some serious stuff and apologizes to her for getting her involved. The two encounter some cats before running off again. Nearby, Ultutmish and Braham are taking note of him and planning their next move. Izzy then meets with her handler Lisa, who gives her a file on their next sealed target. They talk about an elusive target called Wiseman, before Lisa informs her that more troops from the USA will be deployed to help with the tattoo retrieval and she is to share as much information as possible, but Izzy keeps quiet about Seigi. A few weeks later, a tattoo thief is running but Seigi is in pursuit and corners him. On a bridge nearby Izzy is overlooking the fight giving him advice. Seigi then takes down the thief with a blow. In an apartment nearby, Lisa is with her associates when a helicopter hovers overhead. Ultutmish jumps out and phases into the apartment and begins to slaughter the men. Lisa activates her tattoo and hits Ultutmish with a blast. At school Tuko is at track and field meets when she jumps 3 meters surprising her coach and Izzy who realizes her tattoo is activating. Izzy gets a call from Tom about the attack and asks to be excused. Seigi gets a signal on the device Tom gave him. He sees Izzy and activates his tattoo, going after her. At the apartment, Izzy recognizes Ultutmish as the assassin called Schrodinger's cat. The two battle and Lisa uses a gun to fight off Iltutmish. Izzy reaches the apartment, but as she nears it, she falls out of the air. She sees Braham in front of her, who explains that he is using a device to restrict activated tattoos. Braham threatens her with a gun but tells her he won't kill her like that. Sagi catches up and Izzy is surprised that he can move within the barrier. Inside, Lisa's shoulder is dislocated. She baits Iltutmish to attack, then blows herself up. Izzy sends Sagi to help Lisa. He pulls up and sees the massacre. He heads to the roof where he sees Iltutmish waiting for her helicopter with Lisa captured. Sagi attacks but Iltutmish hits him off the roof. Tom catches him just in time before he falls to the ground. Tom tells him that he must remain hidden as they see Iltutmish and Braham fly overhead. On the ground, Tuco finds Sagi and wants him to open up to her so that she can help him, but Sagi gets angry and runs off. Izzy is finally free and turns up at the apartment. She picks up Lisa's jacket and sees her phone, which was recording. She then orders Tom to get reinforcements before heading out to save her friend. Braham and Iltutmish are at their hideout bandaging Lisa with Brahman gawking over her huge rack. Sagi and Tuco heads over to the apartment the next day after school where Izzy and Tom are arranging Lisa's rescue. Izzy knocks out Sagi before leaving. Sagi wakes up tied to a chair with Tom telling him that they must keep him safe at any cost. Tom then tells Tuco that she is here because her tattoo is drawing residual energy from Iltutmish. Sagi then uses the handcuff to cut himself and activate his tattoo. He knocks out Tom before trying to use his void maker to get out but ends up deleting the entire apartment. Izzy gets the call from Tom that Sagi has escaped. She then orders her team to head out. Nearby, Braham and Iltutmish are transporting Lisa when they come upon Izzy and her men. Braham activates his tattoo and so does Izzy, ready to throw down.